good all the way around for Denver. We got to focus in, though, on a guy by the name of Russell Westbrook, because he's been something the last couple games. There's Nikola. He's always something. After game one, Russ had an interesting take on his role on the team.
My job is to be able to be the low man and find ways to keep my leg up.
Yeah, just kind of mess things up when you get in there. So, yeah, that's something like this. Jumps the route there, gives it to Aaron Gordon for the slam. So making his presence felt, and then misses the foul shot. But look at him, beats everyone to the ball and puts it back in. Emotion, intensity, he's always done that. And then there he goes, steals another one. 36 years old, still bouncy, hanging on the rim a little there. And then he does it again, and he's going to get a little bit more hang time on the rim. Yeah, on the trapeze. He gets a tee, but it doesn't matter at this point. They're up by 30-something points. Here's what it sounded like on the Nuggets Broadcast Network.
Look out below. There he goes again. That's going to be a technical foul, and Westbrook doesn't care. The only people he's not yelling at is the announcers.
Russ, fourth player ever with 15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals in a Game 7. Here he is reiterating his role.
My job for this team is to bring my energy, bring my competitive spirit, nature, whatever that may be. I think I told y'all this after game 1. Excuse my language for my kids at home, but to go in and up. And that's what I did.
ESPN NBA insider and senior writer Ramona Shelburne joins us now. And Ramona, the Nuggets ownership, they made that decision to fire Mike Malone 79 games into the season. They replaced him with David Adelman, and now they're on to the second round after cruising past the Clippers tonight. So what did that coaching change do for this team?
You know, I was talking to a Nuggets executive before the game, and he said, I don't think we're here in this Game 7 if we don't make that change. And when I talked to Nikola Jokic afterwards, I said, you said afterwards when they made that change, he was standing there in Sacramento for the first game under David Adelman, and he said, when ownership makes a change like that, they do it to give us a jolt. He goes, they got exactly what they wanted out of that change, because the Nuggets have really found themselves in this series. Sometimes, I know it was a 7-game series, they lost a couple of games big, but this game here, Game 7 at home, was their best game since David Adelman has taken over. And you head right into Oklahoma City, where you're playing a 68-win team.
Ramona, you mentioned it. It was kind of a back-and-forth series, some of them a little bit lopsided, but tonight, lopsided as well, because the Clippers, they just fell flat in this deciding game. How was Kawhi Leonard responding to such a disappointing end of the season for his team?
Well, listen, Kawhi said at the beginning of the year his goal was to make it to the end of the year healthy. And that sounds simple, but for Kawhi Leonard, that is everything, because he has always gotten hurt at the wrong times. They've had playoff runs where he gets hurt in the middle of the series, or he's trying to be healthy as he heads into the end of the year. And this year he finally did make it here healthy at the end of the season. He's not going into the offseason trying to rehab something or having another surgery, but he said, I'm still thinking about this loss, even though he's proud of the fact that he's here, but he's still thinking about the loss, and that's really not, their goal was not to lose in the first round of the playoffs, even though, quite frankly, they lost Paul George as a free agent. Nobody really gave them much of a chance this year. So for them to have the kind of finish they did to the year and close it out, even though they lose in 7 here, is a pretty good end to the year.
Yeah, it's always hard to lose, but especially in a Game 7, the way that they did, such a blowout fashion there. Ramona Shelburne joining us with the latest.
It's like the Thunderbolts, you know what I'm saying? From buzzer beaters to historic performances, it's only right the basketball gods blessed us with a Game 7 after LA beat Denver 111-105 in Game 6, where James Harden led them in scoring with 28 points. A lot of questions heading into Game 7, so it's only right we bring in Quentin Richardson and David Dennis Jr. to answer those questions. And we'll be running a little pick and roll with both the homies pulling up. So Q, I'm gonna start with you. Teams make adjustments from game to game in the playoffs, and as we know, finding the right matchup consistently can make a huge difference. So what's the individual matchup you're gonna be locked in on tonight?
Man, I've been saying it this whole series. Big Zoo and Joker. I mean, right now, we've all been talking about how Joker, they go as Joker goes. So with Big Zoo being the best defensive player on him in the last 10 years, I don't look for Big Zoo to go in there and shut Joker down. That's impossible. Nobody can do that. But what he needs to do is make things difficult, make it a test for him, make it challenging, make it uncomfortable, and go back on the other end, on the other offensive end. And Zoo is a force down there, shooting very high field goal percentage in the paint. huge rebounder in the double-double and stays getting double-double in rebounds and points. So he has to have his impact on the game and make everything difficult and hard for Joker.
Yeah, that may be the most pivotal matchup, but the most unpredictable matchup is James Harden versus Game 7. Like, that is the thing that we have to look at. Like, he had a great Game 6 in the elimination game, but the last time we saw him in the Game 7 was against the Heat. He had 9 points. James Harden, since leaving OKC, has averaged 17% from 3. 17% from 3. And this is coming off of now, he played 46 minutes in Game 6. He has to show up and be a difference. He has to get rid of those bugaboos and be the James Harden that we know he can be in pivotal games, not necessarily in Game 7s. That Game 7 stuff has to be in the background for him and that Clippers team to succeed.
That is so true. And to your point, Dennis, in Harden's last Game 7 back with Philly, he put up 9 points in 41 minutes in a loss to Boston. More with you both in a moment, so stick around. Brian?
Well, that's because we got to go to the East. The Eastern Conference semifinal matchups. You got the Pacers taking on the top seed Cavaliers. Indy took 3 of 4 from Cleveland in the regular season. However, 2 of those games came once the Cavs had already clinched the #1 seed. Then you got the Knicks. They're going to face off against the defending champion Celtics. First time these two historic franchises will meet in the playoffs, believe it or not, since 2013. Boston just dominated the regular season series, winning by an average of over 16 points per game. So back with Q Rich, Double D. Q, I'll start with you. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hurt, both hobbled with those nagging injuries. How concerned are you with the Knicks and their depth in this series?
I'm very concerned. Right now, obviously they've been able to lean on Jalen Brunson as the leader. Big body Brunson has been everything, Mr. Clutch in the fourth, and then Cat Anthony Towns has been the other alpha on that team. So they're going to need, particularly against this Celtics team, to go very deep with a deep roster and bring guys in and have big contributors off the bench. The Knicks are definitely going to need their bench and their complementary players to step up and be supportive for Cat and Jalen Brunson, because the Boston Celtics have been doing what they've been doing with players in and out of the lineup. So that shows the type of depth they have. And Cat Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are going to need all of the support from everybody. Josh Hart, Anunoby, everybody's going to need big series to come in and help them even have a chance against the Celtics.
Yeah, I'm worried about their depth, their width, their height. I'm worried about every single dimension I possibly can for this Knicks team playing against the Celtics. This matchup is brought to you by the letter M for miracle, because it's going to take a miracle for this Knicks team to beat the Celtics. But also, the other M is mismatches. This Boston Celtics team knows how to single out those mismatches defensively. They're going to be aiming for Karl Anthony Towns off of those screens. They're going to be targeting Jalen Brunson. That's what the Celtics do. When they find somebody they want to go at, they do it relentlessly. And unlike Detroit, they can put 5 scorers on the floor. You cannot leave anybody open. And also, unlike Detroit, that Boston Celtics team will not fold in that fourth quarter. The bright lights of MSG will not get to them. The Knicks will have to keep this close for those first 3 quarters and hope that Jalen Brunson can be clutch Jalen Brunson and pull out a few of these games. But this looks like it may be a short series, and the Knicks may be in big trouble against the Celtics team.
I know Knicks fans are listening to you, David, right now saying, so you're saying there's a chance. Q,
look, they already gave me a hard time. They already gave me a hard time for saying Cade was going to be the best player in the series. Yeah. I was dead wrong. The Knicks have been on my tail for the last week.
So, man, I know they letting you hear that.
Absolutely.
They letting you hear that.
Oh, man.
Q, let's talk about the other.
I had to mute my social media for a little bit.
I love it. Q, let's talk about the other Eastern matchup. You got Cleveland and Indiana. It starts tomorrow. Look, Cavs, obviously the heavy favorites to win this series. But if the Pacers are going to keep this one interesting, what do you think they have to do?
Tyrese Halliburton has to be a superstar. They have to keep the pace up as they're a high tempo team, and they need their supporting cast. They need Miles Turner. All of the some supplemental guys need to step up and play very big, because this Cleveland team right now is hitting on all cylinders, looking like they're gonna be hard to put out.
Yeah, I'm with you exactly about pushing that tempo, because when you get in that half court, that Pacers half-court defense has been a middling half-court defense for most of this season, and that Cavs half-court offense is one of the best half-court offenses we've ever seen from an efficiency standpoint. So once you get a slow game where you're getting those half-court sets, they're going to carve up that Pacers defense. The Pacers have to keep the Cavs off balance. They have to figure out a way to push that pace. Q, I'm with you 100% on that.
By the way, ESPN Bet has the Cavaliers at minus 500 to win this series. Double D, Q, thank you.